Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Harinam Sankirtan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripadamaham vande Sri Guru Dinotaranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So welcome everybody to the Sunday Feast program here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. Thanks for joining us, also for our guests online. Yesterday, Katyayani vrata started. Now, for those of you who may wonder, what is Katyayani vrata? It is the vrat that the gopis, the unmarried young girls of Vrindavan, perform. And who are they worshipping? Katyayani? Who is that? Durga. Huh? Now, why are they worshipping Durga, right? Huh? Why are they worshipping Durga? Now, I've just completed 14,000 miles traveling around the great country, and I stayed in many devotees' homes, and surprisingly, there was quite a lot of numbers of different gods and babas on the altar. Have you ever visited people's homes and wondered why there's so many gods and so many babas on the altar? Huh? Have you ever wondered, or is it just me? Okay, I'm not the only one who wonders, right? It's kind of like, okay, you understood Krishna is the goal, so then who are all these other people? What are they doing here? Well, there might be different reasons. So, without judging people's motivations or motives, but some of the reason might be that, hey, what if any one of them is God? Better we have them all there, So in case, like an insurance policy, right? You take full comprehensive. So you cover all your bases, that you don't stand in the rain when it starts getting heavy. Another thing may be, this is our family tradition. This is what our people have been doing for a long time. Wasn't that one of the arguments that Nanda Baba gave to Krishna? About Indra Yagya, right? We've been doing this for a long time, and this is just what we do, and this is just how we roll, right? Have you heard this from your parents or your relatives? This is what everyone does. And then the red flags go up like, ooh, okay. Everyone's doing it, watch out. maybe it's not the right thing to do. Because if you actually were to study history, especially recent history, the majority of the people in Kali Yuga has been wrong. They went on the wrong path. They done the wrong thing. Then there might be so many other reasons. People may have ulterior motives. They may think, I want this, so I worship this person. I want that, I worship that person. So why are the gopis worshipping Katyayani, Durga Devi? It is because their desire, their motive is to attain Krishna as their husband. They want to please Krishna. That is their only motive. That's their only goal. And for that reason, they were actually performing a pretty austere vrat, a pretty austere vow. For 1 month, they just ate havishyan, which is just rice and dal, mung dal and rice boiled together. No spices, not even turmeric, no salt. Have you ever eaten without salt? No? Does it sound very tasty? No? Huh? Should we try it today at the feast? No, not really, right? No. Don't give ideas to the cooks, right? It's okay for those who want to do vrat, those who want to do austerity, but don't give ideas to the cooks. But still, sometimes it does happen, right? And you start eating and you go like, nah. Something is missing here. But they did that as an austerity to purify the body. And every morning they got up very early, and together they walked down to the Jamuna to take bath. And they were singing about Krishna and Krishna's glories. So besides that, they were doing other pujas and other types of functions to please Durga with the sole purpose, we want Krishna as our husband. That was their goal. That was their motivation. So at the completion of that vrat on the last day, they took Srimati Radharani and Shri Radhe with them to bathe in the Jamuna. And guess who showed up? Now you have to know, when in India, at least traditionally, when the section where the ladies go bathe, nobody goes there because they take all their clothes off and they go bathe there. So they would bathe naked in the river. The girls were there, all their clothes were on the shore. And Krishna showed up with a few of his friends. And he collected all their clothes and he climbed up on a kadamba tree and he started making jokes. He started teasing them. Now, you might think, why does Krishna do that? Why would Krishna tease the gopis? Hey, you got to work with me. Okay, you're my support team here. All right, why would Krishna tease the gopis? Because it was a pastime. What does it mean it's a pastime? Like next time you do something that's strange or not understandable, you just tell your mom it's a pastime, you know? It's just a lila, okay? A fun thing. Because teasing others is a fun thing, right? Yeah. Especially if it's, done in a nice way. So, Krishna knew exactly the heart of the gopis. They knew why they were performing this vrat, and he just wanted to reciprocate their love. He just wanted to reciprocate their affection. So, in order to draw out more love and affection, he started playing that game. So he told them that, you're going to have to come and collect these clothes from me because your parents, your elders, they're waiting for you. There's cows to be milked, there's things to be done. And here you're just bathing, So, and they retaliated. They said, we're going to tell on you. We're going to tell our elders what you're doing here. And we're going to tell Nanda Baba. We're going to tell Kamsa. And he said, I don't worry about all these people, They're old. They can't touch me. They can't do anything to me. So then they said, we're actually quite comfortable here. We're just planning to stay here in the water. And he said, you know what? So am I. I have made a hammock out of your clothes. You know what a hammock is? Have you ever been in a hammock? No? Never been in a hammock? It's quite comfortable, You put it tied between two trees. And he said, I made a hammock with these clothes here, and I'm just going to stay here and not go anywhere because I feel a great sense of detachment from family life and from all obligations and duties. So I'm just going to stay out here and enjoy myself. So, I got nowhere to go. So in this way, they were going back and forth. If you want to bring out rasa, there has to be some, there has to be some back and forth. There has to be some argument. There has to be some retaliation, so to speak. Then the gopis started shivering, and Krishna noticed it. So he said, "You're cold. You should, just come and pick up your clothes, and you can go home." And they said, "No, we cannot do that." Because for an unmarried girl, or for any woman to be naked except in front of her husband is not acceptable. It's not even a thought. So they were enjoying the teasing, they were enjoying the argument with Krishna. At the same time, they were embarrassed and they were kind of shy. Now people may think, why is Krishna doing this? Now you have to understand, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means he's Sadaishwarya Purna. He's complete in himself. He only enjoys in himself. He's Atmarama. He does not need any external stimulation or any reciprocation in order to experience happiness. He's full of ananda. In fact, all the bliss, all the ananda emanates from him. And Krishna was so young actually that he was not in the age of where people would want to experience romantic affairs just from a mundane point of view. And the acharyas also say that those boys that were with Krishna were not of his age. They were even younger. They were 2 or 3-year-olds, naked toddlers who didn't know male from female. They were just there because they were so attached with Krishna. Don't play with the mic. They were so attached to Krishna that they just couldn't leave his company. So wherever Krishna went, they went with him. And so Krishna just wanted to show the real motive of the gopis, why they were worshipping Katyayani. He wanted to make it clear to the world that they're doing this just to please me. They're doing this just to satisfy me, just to worship me, just to get me as their husband. And he was reciprocating with that desire, with that wish of the gopis. So eventually the gopis, they relented and they came out of the water, but they were standing there and they were covering their chests and their private parts. And Krishna said, "You have offended Varuna and Jamuna Devi by going into water naked, so you have to come and bow before me with your hands folded above your head." And he did that to show their complete surrender, their complete dedication to him. And so they did that. Krishna gave them back their clothes. They got dressed. And they're standing there just smiling and looking at Krishna and just fully absorbed in love, just seeing Krishna's beauty and appreciating Krishna. And Krishna was appreciating their unalloyed pure love. And Krishna said, "I know that you have been worshiping me and that you want to attain me as your husband, and because of the purity, and this is very difficult to attain, but because of the purity of your desire will come to pass. And very soon, I will grant your wish." So they were very happy. They were very happy. So that is the Katyayani vrata, and that is the pastime that is being described in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 22nd chapter of the 10th canto. And the acharyas give elaborate, beautiful commentaries on the intricacies of the arguments that are going back and forth. And you're more than encouraged to read those on your own. Now, for us as aspiring devotees, it is very important to study the Bhagavatam to see what is the example that the pure devotees are giving to us. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he worshipped the gopis as the topmost devotees of Krishna because they have surrendered everything for Krishna's pleasure. Their sole objective, their only goal is Krishna's happiness. Now when we hear in Nectar of Devotion, there are the 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. 6 qualities of Uttama Bhakti. Kleshnagni Shubhada Moksha Laguta Krit Sudhurlabha Sandarandam Visheshatma Sri Krishna Karshini Chasa. So, what are those 6? Klesha Agni, immediate relief from material distress and removing suffering. Then, Shubhada, all auspiciousness. Moksha Lagutakrit, deriding the conception of liberation. Okay. Sudurlabha, pure devotional service is very rarely achieved. Sandaranda Visheshatma is composed of intense bliss, and Sri Krishna Karshini only means to attract Krishna. Now, the first 5 are considered secondary, and the 6th one is considered the primary. The goal of only attaining and attracting Krishna. Sanatana Goswami in his Briya Bhagavatamrita, he comments that if we are not clear about our sadhya, about our goal of our practice, then our sadhana, our spiritual practice, will not bear any fruits. Are you performing sadhana? You chanting your rounds? You? Okay, just checking. Okay. So, if you're doing sadhana, but you don't know what the goal of the process is, your practice will not really bear fruits, or it will take a very long time for those fruits to manifest. So if anybody of your friends in school might ask you, well, why you're chanting, and you will tell them, well, I don't know, or mom told me to do so, or otherwise I don't get any food, or, or whatever, otherwise I can't play video games. If you don't have a clear idea why you're doing what you're doing, you won't really achieve the objective of your practice. So we have to be clear. Now, the secondary ones, they may still be achieved. You can still get kleshagni, you can still get rid of suffering, you can still feel relief of the distress and the miseries of the material world. You can still achieve some of the other side benefits, but you can't really attract Krishna. Because Krishna, he's only attracted by pure love. That's why we have to be clear on our objective. Like, why are we here today? Why are we here? It's not a requirement. It's not, in your to-dos. It's really something that we should ask ourselves every day before we start our practice. Why am I doing? What am I doing? Because unless our motive is clear and it is proper, sometimes it's clear, but it's not right. Sometimes we're very fixed on what we think we want, but then later on we realize, maybe it wasn't really that worthwhile. It wasn't really such a good idea. Has this ever happened to you? That you pursued something and then you got it and then you realized it was maybe the wrong thing? Or maybe I went about it in the wrong way? So, our only objective should be to attract Krishna's attention. And Krishna is only attracted by pure love. That's the only thing that really attracts him. Now, you can be the smartest, you can be the fastest, you can be the whatever. If there is no love for Krishna, Krishna won't really be impressed. Because he's all those things multiplied a zillion times. Everything, every quality that you can see comes from him. In its pure, complete form. Sadavaishvarya Purna. He's Bhagavan. What does that mean, Bhagavan? The possessor of all opulences? People are looking after what? What are people looking for in the Bay Area here? Why do you live in the Bay Area? Money, 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 right? Rupee, rupee, rupee. Otherwise, why get up? Why stand in traffic? Why work 60 to 80 hours? Money. Okay, people are looking for wealth. What else are people looking for? Opportunity, job, that's all to get money. Or fame. Do you ever check when you post a picture how many people liked it? Did this ever happen to you? Huh? Anyone? Show of hands? Just a few senior citizens are not obsessed by the madness. All the others. Huh? Yeah. People are looking for fame, and they're ready to do outrageous things, stupid things, illegal things, immoral things, terrible things, just to become famous. Huh? What else are people looking for? Yes, my sir. You need a mic right there. You can grab it.
The people are looking for ways to at least try to get a moderately, like a house that is moderately expensive, not very expensive, and is
Yeah, that's part of money. All of that,
moderately
you know,
big.
house, car, food, security. Yes, behind you. Just looking for peace. Okay. Peace of mind. Yeah, that's a good motivation, because without peace of mind there is no real happiness, right? What's the point? You may have all of that and more, but if you don't have peace of mind, it's worth nothing. It's worth nothing. Oh, we got a lot of hands up here. Okay, you got the mic right there, so thank you. You got to put it on, otherwise not going to work.
Education. Education.
Education, yes. People go to school because they want to become smart, right? You go to school? You want to become smart? Yeah. So, is it working? You know, there's a saying, don't let school interfere with your education, you know? So, especially what happens, you know, in the initial phases. But yeah, people want to. Yes, you need a mic though. They got to pass him the mic. Okay, we already got 3 out of 6. Okay, we're on our way. We're well on our way. Yes.
Happiness?
Happiness. Thank you. Yes, everyone is looking for happiness, right? That's what we want to be. We want to be happy humans. A sukhi nara. Huh? That's what the Vedas tell us. Try to become a happy human. That is a goal. Huh? That is a goal. And that happiness is very much available. In fact, it is in our own heart. So don't go on Amazon. Did you ever go on Amazon and look for some stuff? Has this happened to you? Are you sure? Yeah? Not just me? Yeah? Okay, so you would type in happiness. I want to buy happiness. Will you find it on Amazon? What do you think? Can you buy it? Happiness? No? No. No, it's not. It's not on the market. Right? It's kind of strange, isn't it? The thing that everybody wants, you can't buy it. So where is it? It's already there in your heart. So the process of bhakti helps us to reconnect to the original happiness that's there in our heart. That's our birthright. That's the way we're made. That's our factory setting. That's the way we exist. But all these other ideas, and they're called upadhis, they're designations. They're covered forms of misconceptions, mistaken identities that we have acquired in this world of names. They simply divert us from our original purpose of actually being happy, of actually being authentic. So the process of bhakti is not something external, rather it is uncovering our own original nature. Have you ever gotten a gift? Yeah? If not, you had a miserable childhood. So when you get a gift, usually they wrap it, right? especially in traditional cultures, like in Japan, it's kind of amazing how they wrap things and package things up. And sometimes you have something really small, but they make a whole big deal out of it. The packaging is more than the actual object. Huh? So you have to unpack it. You have to unwrap it. You have to actually get to the essence. So the bhakti process helps us to unpack, to unwrap the essence. Nitya sira Krishna bhakti sadhya kabunoi shravanadi shuddhi chitte korya udoi. That original happiness, that original joy is there dormant in our hearts. And it becomes uncovered through the process of bhakti. So we already had wealth, we already had fame, we already had knowledge. What are the other three that we're missing? Okay. Hey, you're working here. You're not allowed to. They don't give you a mic, because you got computers. All right, just yell. Yes.
People are looking for a relationship that they think will fulfill them.
They're looking for a relationship that they think will fulfill them. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a valid point. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'm not going to argue that. Thank you for sharing that. So, we're still looking for three. We're still missing three. You got the mic. You might as well use
Strength.
it. Strength. Are you sometimes checking if you're, huh? Are you looking in the mirror and seeing if you're already getting buff? No? You're not going to the gym? Have you seen how funny it is, especially here in the Bay Area? I see a lot of deshis who put their kids into martial arts classes, and they think that they're going to be toughened up. They're going to be ready for the fight of the corporate world and the educational world. Have you ever... And you see, Joshi and his little kid, you can see he's a Brahmin, his kid is a Brahmin. They're all like this. They're all skinny horses, Isn't it funny? And he takes him to martial arts, right? And think he's not a jat, he's not a fighter type. So anyhow, people are looking for strength. Strength, potency. That is one of the opulences. People are looking for more strength, right? You want your system to be powerful. Otherwise, why do you buy new chips? Why do you develop more powerful machines, processors? Because you want more RAM, right? You want more oomph on your machine so you can actually get jobs done. Yes? GPU, yeah, all that stuff, right? OTX, and what else? XYZ, whatever else comes along with it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we got 4. There are 2 more missing. Love is a good one. Yeah, absolutely. Love is definitely what we're looking for. But in order to get love or to get loved, people aspire for beauty. Now, I know, guys, this is wasted on most of you because, you have 1 pair of pants and 1 shirt and a toothbrush, and that should do it, right? And if you need to go to the barber, it's really an emergency. Otherwise, but aesthetics do matter. They are important. And we're lucky that the world is not just full of mechanical engineers, because otherwise it would be a sad story. If there's no aesthetics, if there is no beauty, no sense of colors and dimensions and forms and architecture and all that goes along with it, it would really be dry. It would really be a boring world. So people are looking for beauty, definitely. And because Krishna is the most beautiful, people come and they just look at Krishna. Have you ever noticed in temples, people go and they just sit there and look at Krishna for hours? Because he's the source of all beauty. That is one of the qualities that people aspire for, but that are ultimately originating from Krishna. You'd be surprised how much money people spend on beauty. Even now during the pandemic, when a lot of stuff shut down, sales in things that are enhancing your beauty or enhancing the beauty of your house or your car, or your phone or your clothes has gone through the roof. Because people are aspiring for that. It is a need. It is a real necessity. Hare Krishna. Thanks for coming and helping out. Appreciate it. Hadi bol. You want a garland? Come here, you get a garland. I can put it on. Hadi bol. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thanks for coming. So, and then the last one of the 6 qualities that is often overlooked. What is that one?
Netflix.
Huh?
Netflix. People watching a lot of stuff.
They're watching a lot of stuff, yeah, but mostly it's because they want to see beauty, they want to see power, they want to see fame, they want to see wealth, all the things that we already had. But there's one quality that we're still missing. Renunciation. Correct. Now, why, of all things, would somebody want renunciation? Did you ever wonder why renunciation is in that list? Like the others are all like real, things you can say, hey, yeah, I can put that on my resume. But to be renounced, how would that be something to aspire for? It's actually the greatest of all virtues. If you're not attached, if you're actually renounced, it is a very powerful quality. Do you ever heard of the concept Nishkam Karma Yoga in the Bhagavad Gita? You have a right to perform your duty, but you don't have a right to the fruit of your action. Have you ever heard that even in MBA business coaches in corporate terms, they're using that as a sutra? They're preaching that. They're teaching that to teach business because it's a very powerful concept. But one can only truly be renounced if you have something better. If you know that you got something better, it's easy to be renounced, right? But if you don't have anything, then whatever little you got, you really hold on tight, right? You don't want to let go of that. So, when we appreciate Krishna in all his magnitude, in all his grandeur, in all his beauty, we should also be mindful of Krishna's renunciation. That Krishna is completely detached. Like this pastime that we just spoke about, that Krishna is stealing the clothes of the gopis. He was not concerned, what will people say about it? They'll say, this guy's not politically correct, right? He's stealing clothes, he's teasing young girls, he's doing a whole bunch of things that are not considered really up to code, right? Because Krishna is not about the externals. Krishna is about the essence. What is Krishna doing? He's showing us that it's about the essence. It's about reciprocating with the mood, with the intention of the gopis. And unless we understand that, we may miss the point, even in bhakti. For those of you who came a little later, we started this class talking about why are the gopis worshipping Durga? Because they're doing the Katyayani vrata. They're doing so to obtain Krishna as their husband. I was mentioning that I traveled all around the US and I stayed in many people's homes, devotees' homes, and I saw a lot of gods and a lot of babas on their altars, and I was a little puzzled. And I did not interview or, question anybody about what their motives were. I just got a little surprised that if you know that Krishna Ete changsakala pungsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, that Krishna is the origin, the fountainhead of all incarnations, of all opulence. Why do you need to bother to worship so many personalities? Isn't it a little distracting? Isn't it compromising? So, the Acharyas make the point very clear that the pure devotees, their sole objective is to glorify and worship Krishna. And when we see Srimati Radharani worshipping the sun god, the gopis worshipping Durga Devi, etc., they're doing so simply to obtain Krishna, to glorify Krishna. In other words, you may be married, you may have children, you may have a job and a company in Silicon Valley. But if you're doing that and your objective is to attract Krishna and to glorify and to worship Krishna and to love Krishna, then that is bhakti. Or you may be living in an ashram, maybe a monk, wearing saffron and giving big talks. But if the objective is not to glorify Krishna, to worship Krishna, and to attract Krishna's attention exclusively, then it is maya. It is illusion. And it will bring us away from Krishna. So, we're discussing this because we're all trying to progress on our path, coming closer to Krishna. And that is not an external formality. It's not about where we live or how we dressed or our occupation. If you study the Bhagavatam, you see, what were the gopis doing? What was their occupation? What do gopis do? You got a mic here? You can give it to the person behind you? Yeah. What do gopis do? Just in case you were aspiring to become a gopi, we'll hear the job description. What is it that gopis do?
They serve Krishna and they care for him.
Yeah, how do they serve Krishna? I mean, they're young girls, they're unmarried girls, so what would they do? They live in Vrindavan. What do people do in Vrindavan?
They play with them, and they do.
I can't hear you. You got to hold the mic closer to you.
The gopis, they play with Krishna, and they make butter for them.
Yes, they play with Krishna. What else do they do during the day? Because Krishna is out on the pasture with the cow boys and the cows. So what do the gopis do?
They think about Krishna.
Pardon me?
They think about Krishna.
They think about Krishna, yes. But meanwhile, while they're doing that, they're taking care of their household. You know, they got cows, they got calves, they got husbands, there's a lot of work to be done. So they're doing all of that, yes.
One of the pastimes is that Radharani always cooks for Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that the one gopi does.
Yes. But we should not think that they're inactive, or we should understand they're fully absorbed in their duties, in their functions, in their domestic life. But their whole focus, their whole meditation is Krishna. So sometimes we think, oh, I got so much stuff going on in my life. Have you ever thought like that? There's just too much stuff going on? So yeah, then we should ask ourselves, how much of that stuff is actually needed? How much of it is actually necessary? Can I simplify my life? Can I outsource some of these things? Can I delegate some things? Can some things be minimized? So, we're getting to the end of the year, so it's good to do a little bit of, like now we have a few holidays and there's some time ahead where we can actually think. And we can actually pause and say, okay, maybe this could be done differently. Maybe I could put my emphasis on more devotional activities. And instead of just being busy for the sake of being busy, why am I doing what am I doing? What is my motive? What is my motivation? How can I connect my activities with Krishna? So that is what we're learning here from this pastime of Krishna stealing the clothes of the unmarried girls, and the gopis worshipping Katyayani with the sole purpose of getting Krishna as their husband. Now I see there's some unrest here in our support team, so we're going to tell you another story just to keep your attention, okay? You like stories? Are you sure? Yeah? You like movies? You're not allowed to like movies, right? Okay. But if somebody's really good at telling stories, it becomes like a movie, right? It comes to life. So we're going to try to make it interesting. A couple of months back, I was in Tucson, Arizona, at the biggest gem and mineral fair of the country. You ever seen gems, gemstones, minerals, crystals, and all of that? So all the people were digging them out of the earth. They were going there, and they were setting up shops and selling them, hundreds and hundreds of vendors in about 70 different locations. It's the world's biggest trade show for gems and minerals. And the devotees were also there from the Hare Krishna temple, from the Govinda restaurant. They were doing catering. They were going around and distributing lunch boxes to all the vendors, because people are in a booth for 12 hours in a trade show. They can't go anywhere. So the devotees went around and sold prasad. And I went from vendor to vendor with the books. And I just asked them one question: how did you like the food? And because they all had taken prasadam, it was very easy to give them books. Because somebody who already appreciates Krishna consciousness on some level, it's very easy for them to also appreciate the philosophy when they already had a taste of something that was convincing. Or they met a person, they met a devotee. So I went into a place, and there was a big, some of them were just in motels, like really simple venues, outside on parking lots, pop-up tents like we have here. And others were really fancy showrooms with like, they had jewels and diamonds and whatnot there. And one vendor, he had actually 3 booths in 3 different halls. He was probably one of the biggest, a Russian guy. I went up to him and I showed him the books. And he said, Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, I know. And I said, I know you know. But you have a team of people, and they don't know. So I'm giving this to you for your team. Thanks for being out here. And you give whatever you like. So he went back to his office. He had such a big booth that his booth was about the size of this temple room. So he went to the corner to the office, and he came back. And he held out his hands like this. And he looked at me and he said, what do I have in my hands? Now it could have been anything, right? It could have been a gem. It could have been, I don't know. Could have been a coin. Could have been whatever. So what do I know? What do you do when you don't know the answer? Huh? Yes. No. Sorry.
Pray to Krishna for help. Pray to Krishna for help.
That's always a good idea, right? When you don't know what to do, you just say, Krishna, now would be a good time. Like right now. I need an answer right now. Okay? And you just start opening your mouth and you say, okay, whatever comes out, I'm going to go with it. So I looked at him and I said, you got $108 in your hand. The same spirit that's in your heart is also in my heart. And if you read these books, you'll actually connect to that spirit. And you will know whatever you need to know. He gave me $108. He smiled. And nothing needed to be said anymore. So, when our intention, when our purpose is pure, we don't have an ulterior motive. We really try to do the right thing. Krishna will help us. He will guide us. He will inspire us. And I'm sure many of you have experienced this in your own lives, that when you actually surrendered and you said, okay, I don't know the answer, because it could be anything, but you please help me. Krishna gave you an indication. He gave you some idea, some opening, some door opened. I went to another place, and there was a man up in a motel on a balcony, and he put up a poster to advertise for his gemstones. And when he saw me, he started laughing, and he said, "Krishna is such a rascal. Wherever I go, Krishna finds me." I went up, I talked to him. He's been a devotee in Kansas. He's been distributing books. His name is Shyamananda. He was initiated. And then he left to do other things, to dig for minerals and stones. And now he's a trader. He's selling stones. But he says, wherever I go in the world, Krishna shows up and says, "Hi. Remember me? Huh? I'm already here. You can run, but you can't hide. I'll find you." Huh? Like people come here sometimes, and they're like, "What? ISKCON is here?" Yeah, it's been here for a long while, before you got here. Krishna is everywhere. So, I gave him books, I gave him prasadam, and then he went and he got his contribution. So, the point I'm trying to make is, let us work on our motive. What is our motive? What is our intent? And if we can somehow or other purify our motive and come to this point where we decide, I'm just going to have Krishna. I'm not going to settle for less. Like Rukmini, she said, "I'm only going to marry Krishna. I'm not going to marry anybody else." There's so many options, there's so many suitors, there's so many kings, there's so many princes, so many great personalities, but I'm not going to settle for less than Krishna. You know what happened? Krishna came and kidnapped her. Because Krishna was attracted by the purity of her desire, by the purity of her love. So, if our desire is pure, and we're really determined that this is what I want, Krishna will give it to us. Otherwise, yes, you can practice, you can worship, you can do whatever you do, and some of the pain will go away, some of the misery will go away, some of the problems will go away, but new pain, new problems, and new miseries will come. Because that's the way of the world, that things are continuously in flux. So, it is important that we meditate on these pastimes, so that when we're faced with a seemingly myriad of options, that we take the right one. Have you ever had a lot of options and you didn't know what to choose? Yeah? It's kind of confusing, isn't it? And you look at the reviews, and some people say, "This stuff is really great, 5 stars, this is super duper." And other people say, "Nah, not at all, it's a scam. Yeah, worst thing ever." Who to trust? Who to trust? Consumer reviews, Yelp, Google, what? Who are you going to trust? Ultimately. You have to have a clear roadmap. You have to have a clear frame of reference. That means we have to find people who don't have ulterior motive. They're not interested in making a buck. They're not interested in becoming famous. They're not interested in exerting their superiority. We have to find people who are actually pure at heart. And that's why when you practice bhakti, you not only have to know what is bhakti, you also have to know what is not bhakti. Just like if you're gardening. Have you ever been gardening? I mean, if you have a $2 million or a $1 million house, or even if you pay $2,000 rent, you better have at least a few flowers that you can offer to Krishna, right? Otherwise, what's the point of having a place here in the Bay Area? But you have to know not only what is a flower, you also have to know what is a weed, right? Otherwise, you're growing weeds and nothing else but that. So we have to know not only what is bhakti, we also have to know what is not bhakti. Otherwise, we're cultivating weeds. And we may again fall into the trap where we think, oh, I just want to be famous. I just want to be rich. I just want to be beautiful. I just want to be this. I just want to be that. And we end up with something substandard that will really not hit the spot. It will really not satisfy us in the long run, because ultimately, the only thing that can truly give us satisfaction is Krishna. Because Krishna knows our heart, and He knows what we truly need, and He can satisfy our heart. That is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. So in these times, it's good to remember the exclusive devotion, dedication, and surrender of the gopis who performed the Katyayani vrata, who ate simple havishyan, rice and dal without spices and salt, who got up early, went to the Jamuna to take bath, singing songs about Krishna and doing their worship, their rituals to please Krishna, just to attract His attention, just to get Him. And they were still doing all their other duties. It's not that they dropped everything else. They were still keeping things going. But that was the real motive. That was the real aspiration. And that's why they're so exalted. That's why we're singing about them. That's why we're hearing about them. That's why we're remembering them 5,000 years after. Who would talk about coward girls from some village after 5,000 years? But because their dedication, their love, their surrender was so complete that even great renunciates like Shukadeva Goswami, like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, would pray and meditate and desire, aspire for their love and devotion. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Yes, you had your hand up before, but
my question is,
you got a mic there right behind you on the chair.
regarding the Katyayani vrata, it's on the BBT calendar. Does that mean present-day devotees do this vrata?
I don't know. I've never done it. I've never heard of anyone doing it except the gopis. But it's there on our calendar to remind us of the example of the gopis. Don't think it's something we can imitate. Other questions? Yes, you got Mike.
Hare Krishna, Guru, thank you for the nice class. I really liked nice points, especially about one should work on clearing working on one's motive. What is bhakti and what is not bhakti as well. Both are important. So just like we want to remember Krishna, we want to not forget Him. So both are different. So I like that point.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience? Yes.
What is the importance of music and dance in this bhakti?
Music and dance?
In this bhakti.
It's very important. It's very important. In fact, in bhakti, don't play with the mic. In bhakti, every step should be a dance and every word should be a song. All these discussions that are taking place are actually, a lot of it is you can call it a divine drama. and they're being enacted Well, we just get the stories, but actually it's poetry and dance. So the arts are very, very important. Now nowadays, because we live in a very expedient world, it's all about the mechanics and the bottom line, because there's no one there really to support the arts. So unless it's lucrative, unless it's monetizable, people have, for the most part, they'll say, okay, put something on the wall. But that whole idea of it's an integral part of being is just not there anymore. And it's unfortunate, because you can see how if you put people into subhuman environments where their lifestyle is really compromised, then their being and their personality and their experiences are also compromised. In other words, your habitat, your environment has big impression on you. That's why we should surround ourselves with kirtan. We should hear transcendental sound vibration. We should hear spiritually uplifting music. Not that, how many times have you been to someone's place and the TV was on? And there's all kinds of, I don't have to mention what goes on. I mean, you've had first-hand experience, I believe. All kinds of rash and crude, pictures and sounds that are going on. And it just has a very counterproductive effect. Have you ever eaten something while you were watching something? Has this ever happened to you? And after you finished eating, if somebody were to ask you, what did you just eat? You would have a hard time recollecting what you actually ate. Have you noticed how your experience of the food was completely diminished by your distraction in something else? It could have been something nice else, but still, it was a distraction. So ekanta bhakti means to be focused. Now I know ladies may say I can multitask, because I can feed the baby, cook, talk on the phone, and, tell my husband what he has to do. But if you do bhakti, Krishna is looking for exclusive attention. Krishna wants full attention. He doesn't want divided. He wants undivided attention. Otherwise, the effect will be less. It will be minimized. So music is very important. Dance is very important. That's why we're having these satsangs and we're doing kirtans and bhajans, and people are learning the instruments and hopefully also learning dance because it's part of the culture. It's part of the tradition. Otherwise, how can you have a culture where there is no music and no dance? I mean, it's really not much of a culture, is it?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. You just pass it over. And even if, let's say, for instance, some people may say, I'm not that talented musically or, for the arts or so. But we can appreciate it. And in this way, we can get the benefit from it. And believe it or not, everybody has some talent, and it can grow on you. I know many who are here are very good at certain skills and mindsets, and that's why we're here. But it doesn't mean we cannot appreciate and we cannot support the arts, because that's what usually was the duty of the kings, the ruling class, and the wealthy people, that they would sponsor the arts so that those people could just make that as an offering, as a contribution to society. But nowadays, that's not really the case, so a lot of our world has become quite deprived of that true benefit of arts, music, and dance. Yes.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for your wonderful points. I have a question in the context of demigod worship. just like you mentioned that we working towards or impressing our boss is the same way compared to demigod worship, but when we do it as a sacrifice to Krishna, when it helps us in our devotional service, we can do that. In the same way, what if, an example like, let's say we get some fever or disease, then we depend on Ayurveda or some medicine. But according to Bhagavad Gita, we hear that when a devotee is in some distress or wants some material gain, you should only depend on Krishna and nothing else. So in the similar way, if a demigod, I wouldn't say worship, but some sort of karma kanda section helps devotee get rid of some problem. And if that problem is resolved, he can focus on bhakti. But now otherwise, that problem is taking away a lot of mental anxiety and a lot of physical shortcoming. So can he do that in that case as a sacrifice to Krishna?
Can you what?
Can you take some demigod worship as an aid or?
Okay, there was a lot of questions in one question. It's a big question in one question. So, if you understand that the demigods are not independent agents, they're not autonomous. But if you think that they are, then it's like going up to the policeman and trying to bribe him. And that's illegal. Confirmed. Right? Yeah. It's not acceptable. So, if you understand, yeah, you keep your boss happy. That doesn't mean that you bribe him, but you understand his relevance, his role. And you appreciate him, you respect him, and you make sure he's happy. But if you would treat him as he would be the owner or the be-all and end-all, then that would be counterproductive, right? So that has to be understood. Now, that being said, if you understand that Krishna is the source of everything, and that if you have pleased Krishna, everyone else is pleased, then how much attention do I have to give to others? It doesn't mean that I won't be courteous, I won't say hello and how are you. Hey, I'm worshiping God, okay? So everyone else, get off my planet, okay? Because I'm busy worshiping God. Have you ever experienced that? People who were proclaiming to be very spiritual or very religious, but they were very rude and very kind of antisocial. And it's really counterproductive. How can we claim to worship Krishna, but we ignore Krishna's parts and parcels? In fact, we behave in crude ways, in ways that are offensive to them. Then that is not really pleasing to Krishna. Now, how to find that balance? You have to use your own intelligence according to time, place, and circumstance. But for devotees who are actually practicing bhakti, it's not required to do karma kanda activities, because all the benefits and more you will obtain as a side benefit, as we just heard, from practicing pure devotional service. So why would you go somewhere else? If you can get everything in one place, why would you go to 33 million places? It's kind of a lot of work, right? Did you ever have the idea that you needed to buy something and you just jumped into the car and started driving? And then after a while, after going to 5 or 7 or 10 shops, you realized maybe that was a bad idea? Has that ever happened to you? No, never? You don't have a car. Okay, you're fortunate. Isn't it what the mind tells you? I need to jump in the car and drive down to the mall now, right? And then you realize it wasn't such a great idea. I didn't really get what I wanted. You know, I got a whole bunch of other knick-knack and a whole bunch of other stuff, but I didn't really get what I wanted. So we have to do a little research. So Krishna is the one-stop solution. Krishna may not give you what you want, but he gives you what you need. And that's why some people don't like Krishna that much, because he's a little unpredictable. He may play games sometimes. He may give you things and then he may take them away. You know, he may tease you, say, what do you think? You want this? Or you want that? Or you want me? What do you want? Make up your mind. Whereas others, it's tit for tat. Okay, you do work for me, here's your bonus. All right, you've been a good boy. Krishna doesn't work like that. Because he's not bound by the rules of the games, because he's the one who makes the rules. So he can break the rules. So if you want a peaceful, easy life, don't do bhakti. I tell you straight up, don't do bhakti. Just do this on Monday, that on Tuesday, that on Wednesday, that on Thursday, etc., etc. Keep your boss happy, keep your wife happy, but don't do bhakti. Because stuff may go sideways. But if you actually want to achieve the supreme perfection, you worship Krishna. And you will do the right thing every day of the week, naturally. And guess what? Everybody will be pleased because everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. So when they see that you're doing the right thing, they will say, okay. And I know many of you who are working corporate jobs, but if their bosses see that you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing, they'll cut you some slack. They say, okay, he's good. He's trying his best, and he's actually a good person. That means we cannot lose track of what's the bigger picture, of what are we actually trying to do here. Just to give you an example, just like now, we're in the process of trying to distribute a lot of literatures because that is one of the ways of how we share this message, how we share this knowledge with others. Now, sometimes we may get caught up in the idea that if we just give out more free stuff, more people will get the message. Have you ever seen promotions, people giving out free stuff? You've seen it, right? And oftentimes, a lot of it is just landfill. It just goes into garbage. A friend of mine, his uncle is the chief of police of Boise, Idaho, and they have the Idaho State Fair in Boise every year. And they have to collect and dispose of thousands and thousands of Gideon Bibles who've been handed out free, and it fills trucks and trucks and trucks because somebody didn't really think it through. So we should see the bigger picture and think it through. So we don't just add to the landfill, but we're actually communicating the message in a way that is relatable, attractive, and relevant, so that people will actually feel, yeah, I would like to have this. I would like to, to take this. I would like to take this seriously. So, if you're worshiping Krishna, all the demigods are pleased. Yata taror mulani sechanena tripyandi datskanda bujopashaka prano baharat shetendriyanam tataiva sarvayarhanam achyuteja. Just like by watering the root of the tree, all the branches, leaves, fruits, they will flourish and be nourished. In the same way, if you put food in the stomach, all the limbs of your body will become nurtured and happy and pleased and flourish. In a similar way, if you glorify and worship Krishna, all his parts and parcels, meaning every living entity, will become happy. You still have to do your homework. You still got to do your chores. You still got to work and make sure your boss is okay. But no, you don't have to try to please the world, because it's not possible to please everybody at the end of the day. But if we try our level best and we pray to Krishna and we ask him, please help me, please empower me, please give me the goodness to do the right thing, then that will be good enough. It doesn't mean that we disrespect them. It doesn't mean that we deprecate them. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled in South India, he would go to the temples of the Devas and he offered his respect. But his intention was Krishna Prema. His goal was, he saw them not as independent rulers, but as servants of Krishna. And thus everything was in its proper place. I hope this helps. But because oftentimes our mind is, we like extremes. We like the polarities. So it's either this or that. But the middle path, to see things in their proper perspective, to find that balance. That's the art of bhakti that is required. Other questions? We got another 10 minutes here. Yes. Microphone coming your way.
Prabhuji, you were talking about problems in this material world. Sometimes, one problem goes away, another problem comes. And, some people, they just want to get rid of the problems. And those people can come to Krishna. Let's say they may not be really interested in, or they may not know about Krishna. But
yes,
that
will bring them here, but that won't keep them here. You see? You can come here for many different reasons, for many different purposes. But if you want to stay, you got to upgrade your reasons, your motives. Otherwise, once your initial purpose has been fulfilled, then you're out of here. If you think that I'm here because I want this or I want that, then when you get it, then you say, okay, that's it, I'm done. And as they say, if you think you're done, you are done. Did you ever think you're done with the exam? Or you're done with the job? Or you're done with the task? As soon as you think, I'm done, you are done. Okay? So make sure you never run out of good reasons why you actually want to be here. Otherwise you think like, oh, now I'm not paining so much. Now I'm not hurting so much. I got a job. I got somebody who likes me. I'm fine. I'm out of here, bye. And we have many people like that. They come, they take up bhakti, and as soon as, the load lightens, they're out of here. They're back at it. They're back chasing the dream. And then when it gets a little intense and they get kicked around, they come crawling back. So don't be like that. But initially it's to be expected that Chaturvida bhajante mam janak sukritin arjuna artho jigyasir artarthi gyanischa bharatarshaba. Gita says there's 4 types of pious people who come to Krishna. The ones who are in distress, the ones who want wealth, the ones who are curious, and the ones who are looking for knowledge. That brings you, but that can't keep you. The only thing that will keep you here is love. Unless we actually get our heart, unless we actually get our love involved, we'll not stay. Why? Because your heart will bring you somewhere else. Your heart will take you somewhere else. Because the feet follow where the heart goes. When inhabitants of Navadvip walked to Jagannath Puri to visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and see the Ratha Yatra ceremony, they went straight to Mahaprabhu's home. And he asked them, have you taken your bath? Have you gone to the temple? They said, no. And he said, isn't it? It's a religious principle. When you go to a holy place, you should fast, you should take a bath, and you should go to the temple to see the deity. But they went straight to the home of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they took prasadam. And Maharaj Prataparudra was asking the superintendent of the temple, why did they do like that? There's a certain rule, there's a certain protocol. According to Smartavidi, according to Pancharatrik, this is the standard procedure. And he was told that yes, that is true. That is the rule. But there is a higher rule. That is the rule of love, of pure devotion, of pure bhakti. Now, the legs go where the heart tells you to go. It's like in a chariot. The chariot goes where the horses go. So, because the heart told them, we're going to go and see the Lord of our lives. We're going to go see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why they went to him. And when he gave them prasad, they very happily took prasad. So these are some of the finer details, the nuances of bhakti, of devotional service, that is important to discuss and understand. Otherwise, we will know the letter of the law, but will not know the spirit of the law. Have you ever met people like that? In religion, philosophy, or tech, or sports, or whatever. They knew the mechanics of it, but they didn't know the spirit of it. And that's why it felt a little limited, a little constricting. It was not really that inspiring. So we got to ensure that we actually connect to the heart, to the essence, to the purpose of it. Otherwise, when our problems will be solved, we'll be again out there trying to chase the dream. Other questions? How about our audience, our online audience? Are they still with us, or they've given up on us? Or we've given up on them? Zoom fatigue. It's quiet out there. Okay. So we got time for another story. So I told you last Sunday about the lady from El Salvador who I met in Ann Arbor, and she told me that she got away with her life, and she realized at one point in her life that I just have to surrender to God. Otherwise, things just don't work. Because material life was impossible for her. So she said, and she told it to me right in the middle of the road where I approached her, and she said, she just held up her arms and said, God, please take charge of my life. And from that moment on, where she surrendered, she said everything started to move in the right direction. And she has stuck to that policy till now. There's one famous Sufi poet from Iran. His name is Rumi. Have you heard of Rumi? He said something very beautiful. He said, try something different. Surrender. That's poetry. Try something different. Surrender. Any other reflections from our talk? Anything that stood out? Yes, please.
Swamiji, I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
Sort of a personal question. What got you attracted towards this movement, and when, and how did that happen?
I'm just an average person. I was going to boarding school in the Swiss Alps, and I came to a point where I was really unclear about which was the right path to choose, where to go from here. Seemingly too many options. And so Krishna came into my life by his kindness, by his mercy, through the Bhagavad Gita. And a friend of mine who went to school there, he introduced me to the process, and I came to the temple and I tried it out, and it stuck with me for the last 4 decades. So we all remember that point in our life where usually there's some level of dissatisfaction, some level of unrest, some level of trying to look for something better or a different way of doing things. And then we kind of try to follow that light that is coming into our life. I don't know if that satisfies your your curiosity. I just got distracted because I just took a bath here because I didn't pay attention to drinking water or to hearing your question. So that happens when you try to multitask. You're not very good at it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You had a point? Yes. Last point.
Thank you very much, Ruji. I like the point you mentioned that one cannot be, to be actually renounced, we have to have something better. So I really like that point. And otherwise we are holding on to something.
Yes, or we may say externally, yeah, I'm very renounced because it's the right thing to say or it's the right thing to do, but internally we resent it, you know? Like, whatever you do, if you don't do it out of love, there will be a certain remorse and resentment, and it will diminish the experience. Just like you may give, but if you resent giving because you think, oh, it's just a duty, it's a chore, it's expected, it's an obligation. But if we actually do it out of love, it's a whole different experience. That's why you should eat home-cooked meals, who are cooked with love and offered with love to Krishna and shared with love, and not something that's just done out of mechanical, necessity or expediency, or even in an environment that is very unhealthy and counterproductive, because it will be detrimental to our health and our well-being. In a similar way, whatever we do, we should really try to do it as an offering with love for Krishna, because that is what will attract Krishna's attention. And that is the primary characteristic. And that is what ultimately will satisfy our heart. Even though it may be something very simple, it may be something very meager. Like Krishna went to Vidura's home. Vidura was not there, but his wife opened, and she was so excited and frightened that Krishna was, you open your door and Krishna stands there. It's kind of a little shocking. So she wanted to make an offering, so she took a banana, she peeled it, she threw away the banana and offered him the peel, and Krishna ate it because he was very happy with the love. For him, banana peel, you understand the point. So sometimes you may make an offering, but some discrepancy may be there. You may not have the right ingredient, you may not have the right thing, you may say the prayer or the mantra in a wrong way. Sometimes you may say something very awkward. Like sometimes a kid comes up to you and says something that you could consider as awkward, or has it ever happened to you? They say something that's not adequate. But because there is love, it's acceptable, it's appreciable. When the lover offers a garland, even if it's tainted with mud, if it's offered with love, it is acceptable, it is pleasing. That doesn't mean we should offer substandard things, but it just means that whatever we do is not perfect, because we're imperfect for the most part. But if we do it with love, Krishna will accept that offering. He will accept that essence. He's bhavagrahi janardana. He accepts the bhav, the mood, the spirit. He doesn't need food. He doesn't need clothes. He doesn't need anything. But if love is offered, he's very happy to reciprocate. So thank you for your kind attention. We will have some song and some dance, and then Krishna Prasadam. So thank you for being here and sharing this time with us, discussing Krishna's pastimes, appreciating Krishna's beauty, and reminiscing the wonderful example of Krishna's devotees, especially the gopis of Vrindavan, who have dedicated their lives to Krishna. And we should allow ourselves to become inspired, to also surrender according to our capacity, according to our level. Their surrender may seem very high and a little scary. Yet they have shown to us that if you surrender to Krishna, you'll never be the loser. You'll never miss out. You'll never be in want, because they got everything. Why? Yasmin tushte jagat tushtat. If you have Krishna, you have everything. And that's why devotees can very confidently surrender to Krishna, because they know that Krishna has got my back. He's got me. There might be a little bit of back and forth. There might be some teasing, but that's part of the loving exchange. That's part of the loving reciprocation. That Krishna gives you, then He takes, and He gives you more. And He makes us understand what is it that we really want and what is it that we really need. Thank you for your kind attention. I wish you a great week. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.